My name is Lorani Orbit, and I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. And I would like to get baptized tonight because when I was 17 and I was a senior in high school trying to figure out what to do with my life and plans about the future, life didn't make sense to me. You go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have children, you get old, and then you just die. So every time I thought about the future, it was just a dead end and nothing made sense. So I remember thinking about some words from a poet, Thoreau, and he said, I went to the woods because I wanted to live life deliberately and to find out exactly what life was all about. And then he goes on and talks about why he went to the woods and ends with the words saying, and not when I came to die, discover I had not lived. So to me, to come to the end of your life and realize, you look back and you realize you did not live, that was kind of unbearable and eye-opening. So I started thinking about life and what it meant and what was the purpose, and I could not find any purpose in the plans for the future. And so one day my senior class went on a field trip and I stayed back, and I was talking to one of my teachers who had a better idea of what life was all about. So we were talking and she shared the gospel with me. She told me that God had a purpose and that he created man for a purpose in his image and after his likeness for his glory. So she walked me through the entire Bible from the beginning to the end, and I was like blown away. Life had meaning, it had purpose. This was not an accident, it was not all random. And so at first it was a lot to take in, but eventually at the end of the conversation she said, all you have to do is call upon the name of the Lord and you will be saved. And that seemed really simple to me. So the bell rang, we left, and that was the end of that conversation. But a couple weeks later, I was driving home in my car after some piano lessons, and I remembered what she said about calling on the name of the Lord. So I hesitated a little bit, but I did, and so I called on his name, Lord Jesus. And I can't say that anything special happened in that moment, but I can say that life began to make more sense. There was purpose in my life. I knew I was created for a purpose and that this wasn't an accident. So I went home and started reading my Bible. And the Bible is the most amazing book I have ever read. It changes your life, it changes the way you think, it changes the way you look at things. And so that's what I did. And then so I went off to college and got my degree. But I got involved with a strange church and for many years. And so after a while, I decided that was not a good thing, and stopped going to church, and I stopped reading the Bible, and before I know it, far away from everything that I had believed before. And anyway, 2020 shows up, and I am home most of the time thinking about all these things again, and remembered an old friend, and so I texted her and we started talking again, and she lived in Montana, so that summer I went to visit her. And when I got there, she gave me a Bible, and on that Bible she said, I am praying Isaiah 43 over you all the days of your life. And I had no idea what Isaiah 43 said, so I opened that Bible and started reading again, and honestly, like the prophet Jeremiah, I feel like your words were found and I ate them, and they became the joy and rejoicing of my life. So I started reading the Bible again. And before I left her house after visiting, she said, you need to find a church. And I just was not interested in finding a church. So anyway, I went home after that visit and I continued to read my Bible every morning. And so 8 months later, I was reading Hebrews. And in Hebrews, you start in chapter 2 with the assembling. And so I kind of skipped over that. But, as you read Hebrews, the phrase one another kept showing up. One another, bear one another's burden. And so, those words were ringing within. And then you get to chapter 12, and there's this race that you have to run. And the verse that struck me was, strengthen the hands that hang. And I was like, how can I strengthen the hands that hang when I can't see that they're hanging? And I realized this is not a solo race. You have to race with other people, and you have to run and make sure that everybody else, stays on track and help each other. So one Sunday afternoon, I get a text from my friend in Montana, the one who gave me the Bible, and she says, I met this couple from Columbus, Ohio. They were at my church this morning. And I was like, what? So I gave them your number, and they're gonna call you, and so you can meet them. And so this couple from Ohio was on their honeymoon and found this church in the middle of nowhere in Montana and met my friend. And so even before they got back to Columbus, they texted me, and so we made arrangements to get together and have dinner. So honestly, I did not look for a church, and I did not find a church. The Grove found me. They showed up one Tuesday evening at my house for dinner. And here we are, a year later at the Grove, growing. And the thing about groves is that all the roots between the trees intertwine beneath the ground, and they strengthen each other, and they help each other stand. And they've been helping me here to thrive in my relationship with Jesus, and they have helped me to stand in the most difficult times in my life in the past year. And so I'm so grateful that, this is where I am today, and that's why I want to get baptized.